Payload injection. We start with very simple, very basic method of code injection. So let's say you have your dropper.exe running on a target machine, okay? And the dropper contains a shellcode somewhere inside either code section, in data section, or even resources. Your shellcode actually can live outside your dropper, like on a file share or a remote machine. It really doesn't matter right now. For the sake of simplicity, we assume that it's a part of the dropper program. Now, what you want is to pivot to a target process, or in other words, to make your shellcode executing somehow in another process on the same machine. For example, in explorer.exe. There are a lot of methods of doing code injection. All of them actually consist of 2, maybe 3 phases. The first thing which needs to be done is to deliver your shellcode somehow into a target process, either by copying it over or making it available through appropriate memory mapping. Either way, your target process has to have access to your shellcode, okay? The second phase is to actually make target process calling your shellcode. And again, there are few methods of doing so. You can use CreateRemoteThread, or CreateUserThread, or APC call, or resumeThread, and there are others, okay? The bottom line is that in any code injection technique, these 2 phases will appear in one or the other form. So let's briefly see how this process looks like. The first thing is to allocate some memory inside your target process. And the size of the buffer, so the size of your shellcode, the size of the buffer has to be at least the size of your shellcode. Then you copy your shellcode to the target process, to the allocated memory. And then you just, so to speak, ask the system to start executing your shellcode in the target process, which is explorer.exe. So it's as simple as that. Now, the most popular combination of code injection is using built-in Windows API functions implemented for debugging purposes. So these are VirtualAllocEx, write process memory, and CreateRemoteThread. So VirtualAllocEx is a version of VirtualAlloc function we know from previous sections, which allows you to allocate a memory buffer in a remote process. Okay. Write process memory does the copying the data between the processes, like 2 processes, or this function you can write into a memory of a remote process, but you also specify what data is written. So in other words, it allows you to copy data between processes, okay? And CreateRemoteThread is similar to CreateThread function, but in this function you can specify which process should start the new thread, okay? So with these 3 steps, you can achieve your code injection. And so let's go to our test VM and perform our code injection.